So I'm here outside of the Elisha Project, just across the street from City Hall. I'm with Mr. Ortiz. He is the executive, if you will, the chairman, the visionary behind this. Him and his team have, as you've seen in post prior, have accomplished astonishing things in a private solution to delivering food directly, and I mean literally sometimes to people's homes across the state of Rhode Island. They're expanding. But I've got to ask you one thing. You know, the Elisha Project was a recipient of a visionary program by the FDA where food boxes were distributed in big quantities. And I had the opportunity to meet with our friends from Eyes on Pawtucket, Christine Bento, at one of the distribution points one Saturday. And you had this large box, self-contained, everything a family needs. Pasta, meat, cheeses, dairy. It was amazing. That program, I guess, has ended. Do you see that being resumed? Is the FDA aware of just how much that accomplished within individual communities? What's your thoughts? And what can you do to replace something that comprehensive?
That's a great question, and it's the USDA, not the FDA.
Oh, fine. USDA.
Right. USDA. We don't want the FDA feeding us.
Yeah, we're a little obsessed with the FDA these days.
Right, that's a great question. So that program was done away by the Biden administration for the mere fact that they wanted to go back to the same system they had before, which is what we call the food bank system. And in that system, the food goes directly only to food banks that are part of the Feeding America network. And then the agencies that are part of that food bank and have gone through their stringent processes, they're the ones that get the food. What we did different was that we were getting the food directly, sometimes from out of state, and we were doing is showing up, and anybody that had the audacity to ask was getting the food. So that's a great question. You say, well, what you can do without that program? That's what we're doing now. So now we are working with private funding and donors, right? Regular people like you and I who are coming together, buying the food in bulk, and then delivering it to families that need it.
And we're going to get together sometime in the next week or so to have a conversation more in depth. What I'm impressed and astonished by is your organization's ability to reach directly down to the grassroots, into the community level. I had the privilege of spending a Saturday afternoon over by Morley Field. Teams of people in their own pickup trucks on their own gasoline were showing up in an orderly manner with a plan, disseminating boxes of food to people who literally can't leave their home, don't have, mass transportation is difficult. They may be elderly and unable to drive or have the resources to drive. And community members had pinpointed these needs, documented them, and then pushed them back up the chain so that the food could come right back down to them in an orderly manner. That type of efficiency matched with outreach to the community is, again, astonishing. How long did that take? Was that the vision originally? Holy cow.
Great, another great question. And the reality is that that's exactly how we started this program. The idea was that the very same people who were receiving the product would have a hand in how the product was brought to them. So for us, the pandemic was last year, but we've been doing this for 12 years on a smaller scale. What the pandemic did was force us to scale up. And to your point, the best way to do that in a contactless form was to use McCoy Stadium for one, that parking lot, and places like that, so that people could drive through. And then for people that couldn't drive through, to your point at Morley Field, we would show up as close as we could within walking distance and then prepare a box that they could take away.
Well, again, congratulations on the grant, the one that was, I guess, announced, and then the surprise grant, where the Asian community across New England donated $10,000 to worthy organizations. You're changing the face of this state, and we remain incredibly impressed. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.